I want to touch on some of your keys to your success in the last few years, especially. What would you say in an article it's not a magic pill, or a magic movement, but what would be something that you believe that's been a key to your success in the, I guess, on the international CrossFit stage?
I think a lot of it is not looking too far ahead because, like, you know how people sort of look ahead and like they've just started CrossFit, they're like, I want to go to the CrossFit Games,
Mm,
like, and it is going, and they know it's going to be a long road, but never think about it too far ahead because you just want to worry about what you're doing that day. Like, what
mm,
can I do when you wake up? You know you've got a session to do. You know you've got 5 meals to eat. How can I do all this well that's going to help me in the future? So it's like try just little steps at a time and make sure you enjoy those steps, because if
mm,
you're hating each day then you're never going to get there. So I think
mm,
that's what I learned over the last few years is like each day wake up and do things that's towards your goal, but make sure you're enjoying it as well. So make, and you can always make it work for you. Like you don't have to do it the way someone else does it. If you want to eat pancakes for breakfast, make it a good pancakes that's going to help you with your training, you know?
mm,
Um, so it's sort of just like working with yourself, but also, again, it comes back to enjoying it and just, yeah, don't look too far ahead.
mm, mm. I like that. I'm similar in terms of those little bits each day and
Mm.
just stacking them, stacking them, stacking them,
Yeah,
and then you look back kind of 2 or 3 months, you go, oh, cool, I've done that,
yeah,
or a year's time, and that
yeah.
if you look on a day basis, it's it doesn't seem like much, but it's
No,
on a grander scale.
it's boring.
Yes, exactly, exactly, and
Yeah,
my
yeah, yeah.
sister's advice when I started the podcast. I said, "Oh, Sasha, that's my sister's name." I said, "Oh, I'm starting a podcast," and she said, "Oh, who you interviewing?" I said, "Oh, other athletes." She goes, "Oh, boring. They're just athletes are boring. They just do the same thing every day." I go, "Yeah, well, they do, but they got a cool journey as well."
Yeah.
But yeah, but
Every so often you get a good story.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
there was also some motivational tips that you wrote up, and I'll say them. They were the first one was ask what your future self would want, ask what your past self would think. Uh, we talked about build habits, and when you feel like giving up, show up, and it will pay for it, and you'll get the rewards for it later. And then also Rachel Grunwell, a wellness coach. So could you expand a couple of those and how you kind of came
Yeah.
about those?
Yeah, so like the future self is like the doing the little things each day. The past self is always like I always think back to when I was a kid doing those sports, and it's like I remember the younger Jamie. I just wouldn't put up with any shit.
Mm,
It's like you kind of think as a kid if you looked up at some adults and you're like, what are you doing? I never want to be an adult, but I
mm,
kind of want to be a kid to look up to an adult and be like, oh my god, they're really cool and look what they're
mm,
doing. I want to be like that. So if you think back to your younger self when you were a kid, what would you want to see in an adult? It's almost like that, because kids are so much more genuine than adults, aren't they? So
mm.
that's what I've always thought as a kid, as thinking back. Also, what was the other one that I said?
So we talked
uh,
about building good habits
yeah, yeah.
as
So
well.
that's pretty much in itself. It's like, again, I've only learnt that over like the last year or so. I was always one of those people, I didn't really plan much, but now having like routine or even just a bit of structure around things, being more organized, takes stress away and
Mm,
also gives you more time to focus on those things that you actually do want. So I
mm,
think that's going to help with people like building on their journey.
mm. And as well, when you feel like giving up, just show up and you'll reap
Yeah,
the
that's
rewards.
that's the point that you got to wait for. So
Mm,
sometimes all waste of time until you're at that point where you can't be bothered, and
mm,
then when you're at that point where you just really don't want to do it, that's where you make the improvements.
mm.
So I think when you get to that point, you've got to think, I'm happy to be at that point. This is what I've been waiting for, and then you take the step.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. I love that.